broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, good afternoon. We are really happy to have you here, and Keith Meneskie, who I've just been chatting with, and myself are here to go over 10 steps to success. And we want you to have success in selling care management to assisted living, which is a very unique kind of sale, and we're going to talk about it. A couple of housekeeping points. I always make these points. Please keep your questions written down or jotted in your phone or however you do it, because we're going to have 15 minutes for questioning. The webinar is going to go for an hour. We will then have 15 minutes to do questions, and Keith has to pull questions out like teeth, so please don't make him be the dentist here. Keith and I will answer your questions, whatever they may be. So let's get started. And I always say this in the beginning, and I do it fast. Why can I do this? I am the author, and not the only author. A number of people wrote in the Handbook of Geriatric Care Management, and it's now out in its 4th edition. So, you know, I have been a part of teaching geriatric care management for a long time. I'm a teacher. I've taught at University of Florida with Keith in their masters in geriatric care management, in San Francisco State, and their masters in geriatric care management at UC Berkeley, my alma mater, in their aging program. I have written the only operations manual that's been out since 2012 with 14 products, and in geriatric care management, and I've done this book, Mom Loves You Beth, with my daughter, Collie Peterson, who works for the SCAN program in Long Beach, California, that's all over the country. And that's about siblings squabbling, and I can tell you they're going to be one of the worst, or you already know this, difficulties in geriatric care management. Add that to care managers working with the aging family, because you are not dealing with an older person. I always tell everyone that you're dealing with a whole family, a family system, and the aging family. So you need to know family systems, and the worst part are the siblings in there. So that's a fast flash of me. And now here's Keith. He is the graduate level instructor in the GCM program at the University of Florida. He's a very active member in the Florida Aging Life Association, and was really part of a study, I'm going to say over and over again, a happy guy. You can see him smiling, and he's always like that. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover how to sell geriatric care management to assisted living. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over scheduling a meeting. How do you do that? Features to use. And in my last webinar, which you could see, I think, on my YouTube channel, the link to that is at the end. That webinar is about features and benefits. So we're going to go to the features to use in assisted living, the benefits to use when you sell to assisted living, the referral triggers to use and their pain points. You know, we sell to people, and you and I buy when we're in pain. We need a new deodorant. We need a new puffy vest to go to Norway, something like that. And when we need that, you know, what you search somebody, or like Amazon, to find it, and how to close that sale on the vest, on the deodorant, and in this case, on a case with assisted living. And then I'm going to go over what you close the sale in a very different way with assisted living, different than my previous webinar, which was about closing general sales. This you close with a complimentary consultation, so we'll go over that as well. So how do you reach this target? It's a target just like all third parties. Third parties are the people that professionals who deal with the same client demographic and income range that you do. And they are, you know, you share. It's a relationship. It's transcendental in many ways. And so how do you reach that target, assisted living? And you first have to schedule a meeting. So basically you need to schedule this through a letter. And I have several handouts, and one of them is a template of a letter that you can send to assisted living. Make it your own, and it's right there in the handouts. But write your own letter if you want, but you put a letter, and please have a geriatric care management marketing database. Actually, they're all marketing databases, but they are relationship building databases. That's why it's called a CRM. And what you're doing is you're building relationships. So you put this letter into your marketing database. The marketing database, magically through technology, will send that letter addressed to the individual assisted living organization, to all the assisted living in your continuum of care wherever you are. And what you do is you follow that up with a phone call. You reference the letter and you ask to make an appointment. You make that appointment in your computer again. You put a reminder. I live on reminders. I was talking to Keith about that, to go to the meeting, and you go to the meeting. Now, the problem is most geriatric care managers, as they say over and over again, seem to be salesperson phobic. And no wonder. We did not go to school to learn to be a salesman. We went to school to learn to be nurses, social worker, physical therapist, etc., etc. Only 3% of GCMs have any business degrees. However, this is something you know as a social worker and a nurse. A meeting, a sales meeting, is really relationship building. That's why CRMs are relationship building, labeled CRMs, your database. So you just think of this as a relationship building meeting, and really you can transform yourself into doing this really well. So that's about scheduling, and you're going to send the letter. It's in the handout. Schedule the letter, make a call, you know, put everything in your CRM or your customer relationship management database. And it's best to have this face-to-face. In some cases, you're going to have a telephonic meeting and there's nothing you can do about that. But a relationship is really built face-to-face. Because of all the signals we give out as human beings. So you want to give those signals. And that woman right there in that picture is giving a great signal. It's a smile. It's a human smile. It's a relationship building smile. Okay, so a sales meeting, relationship building, you have to come to the meeting with a GCM product, not the entire product of geriatric care management, because still after 30 some years, people don't know what geriatric care management is, especially since it's been changed to ALCA. So what you have to do is come to the meeting with an assisted living product. And let's just talk about this. I am going to Norway on the 2nd of July, and I really need a little puffy black vest in case it gets cold in Norway, because it's, you know, it's summer in Norway, but it gets cold. So today I had to order one, and I went and I had to have a small, I had to have it really puffy, and it needed to get here by the 1st of July. And so that was the need, that was the customer need I have. And so what a customer, and your assisted living person director is your customer, what they need is to know, what are you going to do for me, Miss Care Manager? What will you do for me? Well, what Amazon did for me is it got me a small, a black, a puffy, warm, and it was going to be delivered by the 1st. And they met my need. So you can't go in and just go to the whole panoply of geriatric care management. What you have to do is design a product just for assisted living, because assisted living already does all the personal care, they do all the meals, they do all the cleaning, and they have a lot of activities. So you have to find a niche here. So think of this product, and we're going to go over products that you need to bring. And you want to take this face-to-face opportunity, you know, with people smiling and giving all sorts of signals that we give, we communicate with that third party to make them want to purchase a program or a product that they need. And you want to use sell sheets, and went over that in the last webinar if you weren't there. A sell sheet is different than a brochure. A brochure you should be bringing, I'll talk about that, but that goes over all of the services that you have in your agency. A sell sheet breaks it out to one product or one service, because you're going to present one product and one service to this assisted living. So a sell sheet, and I got this when I was a director at Live Home for a while. You just have one sheet and it has that product, your new assisted living product, and all the benefits, so that with great graphics, and it's branded, and you hand that over to the director from your folder. So come equipped with that and this new product. And then you want to prepare a marketing packet to take. And, you just, go to Staples, go get a marketing packet, get your, you have your logo and have it printed and, push it on the top so that it's your colors, hopefully that's in Staples. And you want to put in the following items, your brochure, obviously. What you want to do is have an article from your local press. And that could be, press right now, local papers are in trouble. And so you can call them and, talk about, an opening that you're going to have, an anniversary you're going to have, a new product that you're going to have, whatever. Get coverage and then copy that article and put it in there, because it lets the assisted living know that you're part of the community, and that's important. Also, get in touch with ALCA. ALCA has wonderful articles, and one of the best articles that they're really touting right now is a study, and that's what Keith and I have been talking about, by the Florida chapter of ALCA, done about 7 years ago, that found what people really want in a geriatric care management. And geriatric care manager, I'm going to talk about that. But they also may have articles about how a care manager really works well with assisted living. So get one of those and copy them, put that in there, your business card and your sell sheet, and that's what you go with. So you want to start this meeting to explain the features in general about geriatric care management. And what you want to do is position yourself. Positioning and marketing is setting yourself out from setting yourself above the competition. So tell the assisted living director what you have that nobody else has, no other care manager agency has in your community. And it could be assisted living, because this is a brand new product that ALCA members have been really interested in. So you can position yourself as an innovator in that way by starting with a product. You want to go over price. You want to go over, and this is from the Florida study, what's important to people about why do they buy geriatric care management? Well, one of the #1 things out of the Florida study was communication with family. That means being there. I always stress sending monthly reports, because you can CC them to the doctor, to the assisted living director. They love that. And to the attorney if they're involved. And that gives you the ability to communicate with the family each month, but communicate with all the players, and you are dealing the deck of cards. It gives you the ability to define what's going on with a client. And many reasons why people are hired is everybody has a different version of what's the matter with mom. Well, you are going to define it. But emails you'll do, texts you'll do. Communication is really important, and of course you have to make that to the level that the family wants. That some people never want to be communicated with. Some people want a family newsletter each week. You get paid for it, so do it, but this is important. You want to stress, if you have care managed home care, if you have an internal home care agency, you want to stress that makes you stand out. Or if you partner with a home care agency, you want to go over that, but that gives you the ability to do both care management and help with care providers. Responding to an emergency was one of the most important things in this Florida study, why third parties really like geriatric care managers. So you're there when the family cannot be. You can be on 24-hour call. when they don't want to have to get up in the middle of the night. You know, you are there. You're the fire department, you're the police department, you're the ambulance driver. So you want to stress that the care managers are that, your level of education, your certification, and what you're going to stress too, and I'm going to go over this, free consultation, that you're going to offer a free consultation to clients in the assisted living, and that you offer, and this is critical, concierge care, that you offer a 5-star service, gold standard service, just like the upper 10% wants. And they're the people that you are having to have as clients, because if you don't, you really financially won't make it. And so you offer, and you know, you want to say that you would offer this to anybody, the best of all care. And features and benefits, we're going to go over them, but just look at this. So features really are, that's data points. So this is an umbrella. It's unbreakable. It has a great cloth, and it's got a wooden handle, and it folds up so that, you know, you can carry it in your pocket. So they're the features. That's not why people buy most things. Why they buy it is they want to stay dry. So the benefits are really what sells things, and that's what we're going to talk about here. So the features and benefits of selling GCM to assisted living. A feature of general geriatric care management is the care manager will engage the residents, really, you know, one-to-one engage them in pleasurable activities. This is quality of life. This is making people happy that cannot be offered in assisted living. And this is your niche, because everything else is offered, but the, you know, the client, the resident who is not happy in the facility and is not thriving is the one that really you can work with, that you will take the pain away from the assisted living director. That's your feature. But your benefit is that you're going to enhance the resident's quality of life by engaging them in activities that will give them a greater reason to remain in assisted living. That's the benefit to the assisted living director, because they don't want move-outs. So that's what a benefit is, and a feature is you do one-to-one quality of life. And you're going to use that. And what features to use when selling geriatric care management to assisted living in general. Features matter. I mean, why do features matter? They show the customers hints about how well your assisted living service is going to deliver those benefits. Benefits are more important than features, but features are really important at times, because features can make all the difference. So, you know, facts about your product, and they're important to say that I am certified, that I have a great education in geriatric to prepare for geriatric care management, that I have home care. These are all features, and they are important to say in the beginning. So what are benefits? Features are factual statements, you know, like the umbrella. It's got a wooden handle and, you know, a cloth top about the product. But features aren't what entice people to buy. Now, just take my trip to Norway. I needed that black small vest that was going to be warm by the 1st of July. That was a big feature for me, and Amazon did it. And, you know, that's why I got it. I was able to get that. But where benefits come in is what's in it for me. And what's in it for me is, you know, I got what I wanted. I was able to go to Norway and not be cold because, you know, it is going to be cold at times. So benefits show that the feature provides the customer with something of value to them. And my value was, I got it on the 1st. It was black. I like black. It'll go with everything. I'm going to pack everything black. And I got it, and it was going to keep me warm. So a feature is something, what something is, but a benefit is what it does. I can go to Norway and stay warm. So you want to share these features with the assisted living. About your assisted living product that you're going to design, that you're going to communicate with the family of the resident via these monthly reports, and I just went over the beauty of them through calls, emails, and these are going to be quality of life reports, because you're not going to be doing anything else. But the most important thing in assisted living is keeping people really happy and engaged. And your level of education, you're going to talk about that again. Concierge care, you're going to talk about that again. Free consultation, which is going to be important when we go into close the sale, and your assisted living product. So let's talk about step 5, share that assisted living product. Now, I have one in my manual called Concierge Companion that's trademarked, that's been there since 2012. And it's an assisted living product, and it's designed to meet the needs of residents in assisted living. It's been there for a long time. And what are some of the things that you can share if you're going to design your own program? That it's there to help with people that are residents there that are showing signs of depression and especially isolation. It's there to serve the needs of residents that are having problems making friends, either because they just moved in or they're now in a situation where they're going into a depression for whatever reason, and you need to bring them out of it. Now, you can medicate, as we all know, but you can also use quality of life. And that's a brilliant chapter by Nina Herndon that's in the Handbook of Geriatric Care Management. Please read it or reread it, because that's what we're talking about here, quality of life. Because that can bring people out of depression, and it can bring people out of isolation. And it might be a mixture of meds and that, but it's a great resource. And it's also another group of people that would be really open to needing quality of life in assisted living, or people that have just moved in, because they're on Mars. You know, they never lived in essentially like a motel or an apartment building with rooms next door to each other. They just, gave away, much of their memories in their furniture, their house. They gave away their navigation because they, blindly could go around the house. And here they are on Mars, and they may not be adjusting well. And so these are all great reasons to use a quality of life assisted living program. And, mine is a concierge companion. And this lady looks unhappy, and you want to make her happier. So how's this product work? First of all, you have to have a geriatric care manager, and that's you. So the geriatric care manager's role in the concierge companion product is to just do what you already do. You find out the problem and solution. How do you do that? You do it in a geriatric assessment. If you're really not familiar with that, and I hope you are, but if you're not, Handbook of Geriatric Care Management has a whole chapter on geriatric care management assessment with an entire assessment. So you can, read this and, talk about it, but you can go out and find out the problem and solution of the client who is isolated or depressed or just moved in through a geriatric assessment. You can also use in the Handbook of Geriatric Care Management, the quality of life chapter that Nina Herndon wrote has a quality of life assessment. And there's two parts to that. One is a quality of life. It's a general assessment, an overall assessment. And the second is really an activity assessment. Where's joy for you? Because, families never ask these things. It's not that they don't love the older person. They're really concerned about their health. And they never sit down and say, well, what did you have fun doing that we could reconstruct now? And that's what you're really doing in a quality of life assessment. Where was joy? I'll give you an example. When I was teaching at at San Francisco State's master's program, I had students that did assessments for their final project, and a woman did it in quality of life, and she was doing it with a woman who lived in assisted living who was in a wheelchair. But when she did the quality of life assessment, what she found was the woman loved to sing in a choir and had sung in a choir for years. Nobody ever asked her this. And she couldn't do it anymore because this church didn't want a wheelchair coming. So lo and behold, the to-be geriatric care manager found a church with the same religious convictions that her old church had, who would accept her in a wheelchair, got the transportation for her, and kaboom, there was happiness. And so that's what I'm talking about. You know, that's the proof of the pudding here. So the geriatric care manager is going to create that geriatric care plan. And then she's going to monitor and update it, because what you're going to do is go, say, you know, maybe every week in the first month or two, but after that, maybe bi-monthly or monthly, and you're going to monitor the care, the concierge companion. You monitor them regularly because they have a charting that's different than normal CNA charting, that talks about the activity they did and how it went. And so she's going to review that, plus, or he's going to review that. They're going to meet with the client and the concierge companion once a month or twice a month. And the geriatric care manager is going to communicate with the family through monthly reports, emails, et cetera, and monitor. So that's the geriatric care manager's job. The quality of life companion's role, who's the other party here, is he or she carries out the care plan. So they are, you know, they're doing the activity with the older person that's set up with the geriatric care management. Of course, you have to train all these people, and they need to be trained in recreational therapy. It's very different than, say, what a CNA does. And you want to hire people that have those kinds of backgrounds. But the quality of life companion can escort people to outside activities, to in-house activities, and somebody who's isolated may, you know, that may be the problem. They're just not going to activities, and for whatever reason, they moved in, they're sick, you know, they're depressed, etc. And does actually activities with the older person in their own room, or, you know, set of rooms. And this can be if they're ill, they just had a hip replaced, or, you know, if they're, you know, have dementia and it's really hard for them to be in a large group. So, you know, the quality of life assistant can do all this, plus they fill out charting. It's very much different than a CNA charting. It's really, you know, what activity I did, how did it go, what needs to be changed, so the care manager knows to change the care plan. And step number 6, you've just, you know, that's the program you're going to use, that's the product. You want to share these benefits when selling the GCM Concierge Companion to the assisted living. So the benefits you're going to tell the assisted living director are, you know, your residents are going to have more social interactions who are referred to us, and a general sense of connection, and that's what we all need. You and I are connecting right now. You're connecting with, you know, however many people are on this webinar, and Keith. Even we're a community, and we're all going to talk at the end, and we all need this. We need it to learn. We need it to be happy. We are family-centric people. That's why you have to know the aging family. So you give people a general sense of connection to the community of the assisted living, and more social interactions. What the benefit is, they're going to get more engagement with new and old activities. And I just used the example of the choir, that no one ever asked about this with the older woman. Or it may be new activities. They may, you know, really enjoy going out every day, and you know, being a part of, say, you know, a dining group out of the assisted living. Anything can really happen here. Or new activities like one in the chapter that Nina wrote. There's a great idea about a woman had just moved into assisted living, and she didn't know any of her neighbors and was kind of isolated. And so the new activity was, Nina had a tea party for her. It's such a great idea, and got everybody on the floor invited. Got hats, you know, the beautiful brimmed hats that people used to have. Got a bunch of those. Got gloves. I love gloves. I don't want to have to wear them all the time, but I just love them as an idea, especially if they, you know, they're black, and had tea served and a pianist from the assisted living. That's what I mean by a new activity that promote feelings of, you know, happiness and physical wellness, because, you know, we feel better when we're happy. And increased stimulation is a benefit because in the form of learning, and that's what we're doing here. We are learning together. This is an idea exchange. I'm giving you ideas, you're going to give me ideas at the end. So we have mental stimulation going on here, and you want older people to have that. And a benefit of your new service is going to be increased engagement with the existing activities in the facility that bring joy, and one of them could be reminiscence. Reminiscence is a great activity for older people, because as you get older, as you all well know, I'm you know, assuming you know this, that long-term memory is what stays and short-term memory goes. That's why we need reminders in our computers. So long-term memory, it can be brought back through reminiscence, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But increased engagement with all activities and increased happiness and joy. Don't we all want that? But especially when you're older. And increased reason, and this is the sell point to the assisted living director, to remain in assisted living because they don't want move outs. Now you see I have to water my orchids. Okay, so the benefits include, and I'm just going to go through one-to-one concierge care. So you're doing one-to-one, which really doesn't happen much in assisted living. They'll have a activities director, but, you know, that's a group. So, you know, you can offer a one-to-one interaction, and a lot of older people that are having difficulty for whatever reason really need that. And we all need it on a regular basis, especially if people don't visit. If they don't have a lot of visitors, their family's far away or just doesn't come. Another benefit is increased quality of life, and you can see that the companion can help residents with that guy who looks really unhappy. He might be, you know, not adjusting to the facility or considering moving because of that. Maybe he's depressed, but increased quality of life by having a companion, someone he really knows who gives joy to him every day or every time they visit. So that's a benefit. Another benefit is the companion can get the residents out to see outside activities. And this is a real life activity in Santa Cruz, where seniors with our local museum, which is actually internationally famous because of the director, put on a loneliness show at the museum with art from older people and all sorts of interactive exhibits. It was brilliant, still out there. It's going to be moving through California and probably the country. But these are a bunch of older people and younger people that are there, and a companion could just get the person, you know, to an exhibit like that. Or, you know, I'll give you another story. I had a client many moons ago. I used to have an agency up in the Silicon Valley, and I covered the VA in Menlo Park, the Jerry Psych unit that used to be the scene of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Because Ken Kesey, he earned his way through Stanford by taking drugs in this place. And now Nurse Ratched and Ken Kesey were all gone. It was really cleaned up, but they didn't really have outside activities. So we started quality of life there. And one of the veterans, they had accumulated all sorts of money, you know, through their benefits, but they really didn't go out much. So one of the veterans, what he wanted to do, the only thing he wanted to do was get a hamburger. That's his joy. And so every week, the concierge companion would take him out for a hamburger, and he was so happy. So it can be from a hamburger to an art show. You know, whatever joy the older person says, engagement in outside activities. And the concierge companion will accompany the resident to outside activities. And you can see this is a social interaction. This is really wonderful. Somebody, you know, taking you out, helping you so you don't fall, so that the resident has the ability to return to joy. And the last benefit is a geriatric care manager who's going to keep the whole thing together. Start it with a care plan and monitor to make sure that the care plan is still working. And if it isn't, because many don't, you know, you thought they just loved to get the hamburger, and by the end of 7 weeks, that guy's sick of his hamburger. You don't want that anymore. He wants to go get hot dogs. So care managers there to monitor the activity and make sure it's still working, or not, if not, change it, and keep in touch with the family at all times, and the facility director, which makes them happy, and update everybody. So these are all sales points. And step 7 is, where's the pain? And so you want to use referral triggers when selling geriatric care management to assisted living. And referral triggers are really pain points. So just think of any advertisement you see on television, you know, where they have, like, you know, muscle rubs, and you see this picture of a, you know, very red circle in the middle of somebody's back, and it's really aching, and then they come in with their salve. Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about, because you're going to treat the pain points of the assisted living director. So you're going to use these trigger pain points in your sales presentation before closing. You're going to identify where the assisted living director is feeling pain that you can put an end to. And some referral triggers to use when selling geriatric care management or your product to assisted living are when the client's not engaged in activities and more social interaction is needed, or a sense of connection. Do you have that? Ask that question. Do you have that here? And that's prompting her into her pain, or him into his pain. If you do, call us, and this is, you know, what our service can do. Another trigger point, you can say, well, you know, when the client or the, you know, resident has a specific background in, say, art. Santa Cruz has the 5th largest art community in the country, and so we have a lot of older artists, and older artists, or any, you know, any kind of older creative person, has many times to have an adaptation to really do their art. You know, rollers to, you know, actually paint. Just think Matisse, if you know Matisse, you know, in his art in his later years, it was brilliant. So they need to change mediums. And so, you know, because it's recreational therapy, you know, you can come up with, and this, you know, it has to do with textile arts, people who knit, people who sew, people who weave. You know, you can get an artist, if you have a lot in your community, involved in all sorts of projects that are adapted to their level of ability at their age, that the facility and staff can offer. And most times the staff really, they don't have the staffing to be able to do this. And so that's, do you have these kind of residents? And another trigger point is when the facility or staff sees a client that has a specific interest in one-to-one involvement. They really need some one-to-one care, not the group. You know, a lot of people come to it and they're really more introverts and like introverted kind of activities. So this guy likes to play chess, and there's nobody that's gonna, there's no chess group there, and nobody to get him out. So you can, you know, get a concierge companion who can come in and do this. And, you know, that's just an example, but somebody who needs one-to-one activity. And you can also use this for residents showing signs of dementia, because, you know, you can use a concierge companion and one-to-one in, you know, in their room. And reminiscence is just this great tool to use with older people who have some memory loss because they can just look at the picture, and because of their long-term memory ability, they can, you know, they can connect to it. They can tell a story. And so, you know, that's just an example to use of what you may be able to do with your new product that will, you know, prompt the pain out of the assisted living director, and she might say, yes, we have people like that. Another trigger point is people who are isolated and depressed, which we talked about earlier. So when the client is becoming that, or when the facility staff sees the client needs an increase in quality of life, needs to be happier, and feels, and you know, they don't have the ability to do that in the facility because, you know, the doctor may have tried meds, the doctor may have, the family may have tried something else, nothing's working. But quality of life activities, if really done well, and you can do it, you're a geriatric care manager, really can make people happy. But just think of your own life. I just used a simple vest. That made me so happy today. It increased the quality of my life and my trip. You know, you have things like this happen to you every day, maybe every hour, I hope. Not that you need the vest, but, you know, just little happiness things that happen to you. These people don't have it. And so, you know, if you have a client like that who's isolated and depressed, you, the director, could, you know, if you do, call us. And these are just prompting questions. You're prompting them. Another trigger point is physically, you know, people, residents who are having a physically hard time. So if you have residents who are having a hard time physically and thus they can't engage in activities, either inside the facility or out, you can offer one-to-one activities through your geriatric care management assisted living product that's not offered here. And you can see there's a great picture. I just love it. This is taken in England. And this is a woman in a wheelchair, and this companion is singing to her and making her so happy. So you can offer that. So they're the pain points. Step 8 is use a case study and put that into the the folder that you're going to hand out. And what a case study is do a geriatric assessment on a client that you worked with in assisted living. And if you don't have one, go out and find one and do a complimentary consultation. And you can explain, you can hand the very well written, very well spelled, very well outlined geriatric assessment and say, I've, you know, already worked with an assisted living family and client, and, you know, explain the problem, and this is how the value I brought to the family and to the assisted living, and hand that to them. And that's a great, great sales point. And the ending is, do you have any of these types of clients? So you can choose anything, but you're prompting reasons for them to say, oh, I have these pains, and these care managers, they're going to just, you know, rub this salve on my back and I'm going to stand up straight and not be sore. So step 9 is close the sale. I went over this in the last webinar. You can go on my YouTube channel and see it. You start with an ask. And, you know, we've been doing asks all along for the last 7 slides. So if you have clients who are having problems, as I just explained, please consider our and fill your agency in here. And this is where the closing of sale is different than what I taught you last time if you were in my webinar. Because the assisted living is usually never going to sign your contract. I understand that some assisted livings do, but you're really going to sign the contract with a family. So what do you get out of this? You get them to refer a family for a complimentary consultation. That's the carrot you're going to offer. We're happy to offer a complimentary consultation to show what value we can bring to the client and your facility. And you're saying, well, maybe what the heck's a complimentary? I don't want to lose money. Ta-da! You want to offer the director a 30-minute free consultation to the resident in need of increased quality of life. And so you're asking them, think of, they always give you your worst case, but, a case that they feel that, they could test you out with a complimentary consultation. That's what you're asking for. So explain this is a 30-minute free consultation. You can extend it if you want. And during the call, you're going to call the client's family, the case manager director, and you're just explaining this to the assisted living director right now. You're going to explain that you're going to gather information from the family and also from the assisted living director when you're there, because you're going to get it from two sources, because the assisted living director knows why they referred them. You have to use HIPAA, but what they can give you that you need to get then. And you're going to cover the problem of the resident, come up with a solution for the resident and the family members and the assisted living director. So before the call, this is all before the call, have an elevator speech for the assisted living product that you have put together. Now, the benefit, what's an elevator speech? It's real simple. You get on an elevator, somebody says, well, what do you do? And instead of trying to, explain geriatric care management in 3 floors, you can, really abbreviate it. And the benefit, I've just made this up. You can make anything you want. When you have a senior in assisted living who's not adjusting well or needing help to enjoy the unique benefits of an assisted living facility, Concierge Companion is our perfect product. So that's just for ducks to show you what you can do. So elevator speech has 2 parts. One is the differentiator, and this is positioning again, how you show the person you're selling to how you are the best choice of all the geriatric care management companies in your area. It's a really good way to, make you stand out, having this assisted living service. So you're going to say, unlike other care management agencies, we offer a service that enhances the quality of life of the resident. Our care manager will find joy, really true, the senior is missing by assessing the problems and coming up with activities to restore joy. And we're one of the few agencies that does that. Great differentiator. And then the ask, again, if you have a client who's isolating, depressed, or considering a need for a concierge level of care in assisted living, please consider us. So, write your own elevator speech, but have something like that. And again, before the call, you want, or the visit, you may make a visit to the family. I wouldn't do it on a regular basis at all. You don't want to give away money, but you do want to get clients from these assisted living facilities. You want to do this. This is saying that the assisted living director has referred a client to you, and they've given you as much information as they can under HIPAA. So what you want to do is take time before the call to the family to put together a mini care plan based on the problem that the assisted living director explained to you that the resident and the family are having. And you are going to use the product that you've already designed for assisted living, or the one in my manual if you want it, that will solve the caller's problems. Problem solution, that's what a care plan is, but you're going to make a mini care plan. It's not going to be 2 pages long. And it's going to answer the challenges that the assisted living director is having, which is they might move out, probably, that the family is having as a family caregiver, and that the resident is having. So you're going to show the solution to those 3 problems. And before the call to the resident's family, you want to gather as much information under HIPAA that the assistant living director is going to give you, the main problem, demographic information, challenges to the resident, what challenges they're facing that the assisted living director wants you to do this, challenges to the family, and the urgency of the situation. How soon does this need to be taken care of? How soon does the person need this service before something bad happens? And that might be moving out, that might be going to a higher level of care, whatever, but you want to get this from the assisted living director. And then again, I can't stress this enough, the importance of the problem in a complementary consultation. It's key. That's how you solve and sell this. So in part 2, you've got to offer this mini care plan, and it's got to be good. Don't take more than, you know, a couple of hours. Call them back within 24 hours or call them for the first time. But you want to put this together really well. And because you want to have know the problem, because you want to have great solutions to it, because that's what you're selling. And you create a mini care plan based on what the director said. You're going to improvise the care plan when you get more out of the family, but you'll be able to do that because you're a geriatric care manager. So step 10 is perform the complementary consultation. You're going to call the family. Don't delay. Once the referral is made, don't take too long, never more than 24 hours. And the director's already called that family and said you're going to call. And explain that it's a 30-minute consultation or however long you want to make it. Complimentary, you're not going to charge them for it. And referred by the care manager director. And then you're going to have an inquiry form, which I'm assuming you have, that you're going to use, and you're going to use that inquiry form to do a mini intake. And you're really going to do a needs analysis. And a needs analysis, you already know how to do this. It's strategic and tactical questioning, because that's what I've been prompting you to do throughout this webinar, using the inquiry form. Trying to find out what is the problem. And you're going to ask questions about the potential client or resident's current condition, their problems, and about the problems the family caller is having, because you're answering 2 pain points. And you should always do this in a care plan. And you have to have empathy, which I'm assuming we're all really good at. We're nurses and social workers and healthcare workers, and a background in doing this. So first you want to ask, this is a prompting question, a challenge question. You know, what are some of the challenges you're facing with your family loved one that's in the assisted living residence? And it might be, you know, they call me every night and are driving me crazy. They cry all the time. They don't like being there. They hate the food, whatever it is. And I don't know what to do about it. You know, it's just disrupting my life and the life with my husband and my family, etc. And then you want to know what's the most important problem that you would like us to solve for you, because you're answering what the problem in the family caregiver and the problem in the resident. And then an urgency question: how soon do you want the care manager to be engaged to solve the problem that the resident is having and you're having? And then how's your mom's dementia, or, you know, Parkinson's, or you know, the CHF bothering, you know, affecting you personally, sorry. And these are all, you know, prompting questions. And if the care manager became involved, it's another question. How would it improve your life with your mom? How would it improve your life and your family's life? So you're trying to draw a picture of how you can take the pain away. You know, what do I have to do to take the pain away from this person? And then you're going to say, we can solve the problem. Tell them the cost of your services, tell them the solution is ahead, and you're offering this complimentary consultation. So you've asked all these questions. You're going to give an elevator speech about your product or assisted living service. You're going to present this mini care plan that you put together with the director and augmented with what you've learned from talking to the family. And you're going to present the benefits to the older client. And I've just gone over the way to do benefits, and to the family care provider. And then you're going to close the sale. So closing a sale is, you know, if you're selling cars, it's not too different. Sales is sales is sales in this way. Your sale's going to be a little bit different, but you're going to close the sale by finding out if they'll sign a contract with you. And do not have a contract, please. Contract basically gives you the ability, and gives them the ability, to find out exactly what you're willing to do, and you know, what the service is about. And are they willing to sign that contract and send a deposit? And I really believe deposit, because, you know, to this day, people many times still think that social services is free, and it's not free. And so it gives them a hint that, you know, that money is involved here, and the deposit, you know, can be the first month of services, because usually it takes a lot more time to solve the problem in the beginning than it's going to be in the long run. And what if at the end of the month it's all fixed and they never pay you? So you'll have the deposit. So you want to close the sale, and if they say yes, you know, use Adobe or something like Adobe to get the contract over right away. Have your administrative assistant send it over, and have a pre-done contract in your database, and use something like PayPal or I don't know, Apple Money. I've never used Apple Money. You know, whatever, a way to get money right away. And I use PayPal. It works really well for me. And I use Adobe, which is, you know, it's okay. I'd love to find something better. But you want money in a contract. And that closes the sale for you. So we're almost done. And now I'm going to make offers. I do this every time I do this. I do a webinar, and these are only for webinars. They're, you know, webinar attendees, and webinar attendees in addition to people who signed up, because there's some people who could not make it. And I still send this to them. So number one offer is my Geriatric Care Management Operations Manual, and it's an offer because I'm going to charge you less than I normally do on my website. You can check that out. And I'm going to use benefits now because I'm teaching you how to use benefits. So what are the benefits? What's in it for you if you buy this manual? You're going to be able to start or restart your geriatric care management business with pre-made 14 different care management products, including Concierge Companion. And the training to deliver that to the clients through your care manager, because it's step by step and with a gold standard of care. Because, you know, if I've done this for, God knows, it seems 35 years, and I figured this out, that, you know, how do you deliver a gold standard of care? And so it's step by step 14 products that will, you know, assure you that you have the best delivery system. It also gives you a way to gives you a way to onboard and train new employees, because it's step by step how to deliver each of the 14 products. It's the training mechanism. And so you can just use the manual to train your new employees. You don't have to, you know, make it up every single time you do it. And, you know, training for different services varies. Home from the hospital, which is one of the services, is very different than delivering, say, Concierge Companion or Death and Dying. And they're three of the products. And if you're interested in this, you can get a table of contents. I can send it to you. And then another benefit is you can open and run a second agency, because you already have a turnkey in your manual. And so it makes it much easier, really easy actually, to start in a new location if you want to do that. And it, you know, most important, it avoids, your benefit is it avoids legal disputes and malpractice litigation, because again, these are tried and true procedures that I have used. I wrote my first operations manual with the help of operation manual experts out of UC Berkeley in 1983. And so I have really, you know, through many ideations, I've got this down. And it's tried and true procedures to deliver flawless care to somebody's mother that isn't a hamburger. Like, you know, McDonald's might, you know, be sued because somebody got food poisoning, but somebody's mother who you took to McDonald's and they got food poisoning, well, that's even more serious. And so the offer is you get 14 services or products, including Concierge Companion, a separate forms manual with 54 integrated forms. So it's an operations manual and a forms manual. It's electronic. It comes in a 2 PDFs, and then the directions to edit it. So you can take out the forms and change them any way you want, put your logo on, and you can, the forms and the manual integrate because the manual references the forms, so you can print out the forms and use them in your facility. Hopefully you're doing this on a computer. Just move them over to your computer. And the offer is at $7.99, not $8.99, which it normally is. It's only available from today till June 30th, because where I'm going after that. First, you have to sign a contract because you are licensing my intellectual property, and I will send that to you, and that needs to be signed before you purchase it. And it's all done through PayPal, but I have to bill you a lesser fee, so I can bill you, and you have to get in touch with me through my email here. The second product is my GCM Operations Manual online class, which I just started 2 years ago, and I launched it a year ago. It's an online class in Geriatric Care Management Operations Manual, using the manual that I offer in Blackboard, that I've used in teaching in many colleges, and that's an online program for colleges taught by me. And I had been doing that since 2012, but it took me a year to do it with a one-to-one basis with anybody, and inevitably in the latter stages, they got too busy to really pay much attention to what we were doing together. And so I decided to put the whole thing online, because I'm still a part of it. It's an online class. I teach it just like I taught at the University of Florida. And the features of this is it's self-paced schedule, which means you can do it at your own pace, which is really what I needed to change everything to make it work for my students. It's 14 products for you to market, plus it's marketing. You get the step-by-step how to deliver the product, but also there's a whole marketing module attached to each one, so that an exercise, so you can learn not only how to deliver it, but how to market it. There's 20 PowerPoints with modules with the audio. I do them on QuickTime, and with me, my voice teaching you, and a marketing PowerPoint module and marketing exercises, plus the exercises to sell the 14 products. Closed Facebook page for everybody that's ever had the manual, which is a whole bunch of people. A chat room in the class, so we interact, a bibliography and a syllabus, which you would normally have through a class, and CEUs through the Association of Social Welfare Boards, and real-time technical assistance. I have a tech assistant who's fabulous, Tanvi Klamath, and she will send you the class and then be there, night and day for any kind of questions you have with, technical support problems, which I really had to put in there because I love tech support. And the benefits are you receive the operations and the forms manual. You're really only paying $100 for the class beyond that. And complimentary technical support through TNB, the marketing material and benefits with each product to sell to third parties and families, and it makes your agency more scalable, so you can open a second agency. You save the money and time, as you'll have the manual as a reference to do the training. And if you're ill, sick, or if you have a climate-related emergency like a hurricane or an earthquake, then you can. There's a whole chapter in the Handbook of Geriatric Care Management on emergencies, and it shows you. It's by Liz Barlow. It shows you how to do a sister agency, so that they can take over. For instance, we were in the Loma Prieta earthquake here in Santa Cruz, and another agency really took over because we couldn't even communicate with anybody. There were no phones. And so you can give the manual to the other agency and they can help you out. And that's, it's a collegial group of people. And you can sell the agency, you can selling geriatric care management agency is a row to hoe for double the price, because it becomes a turnkey agency. You're handing them the agency, but also exactly how to run it.
Kathy, excuse me for interrupting, but I wanted to remind you of the time.
Yeah, let's do it. This is the last slide. Perfect.
There you go. All right, thank you.
No, that I'll leave this. You can read it. It's everywhere you can ever get in touch with me. So let's have some questions. I told you. We usually
Yeah, I am looking. There are no questions here.
on you people. If you signed up for this, you have to have questions with this
Yeah.
interaction.
And you covered a ton of, how many Red Bulls have you had before you started? You went over a ton of
No,
stuff.
I had a double shot latte. That was it. I've
Oh,
never
okay.
taken it.
Because, but let me, seriously though, I want to ask you a couple of things. Number one, will this be available to them at some point later on in the future, or is there someplace they can see this again, listen to it again?
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Keith. See, this is why I need Keith. I need him. He needs me. You will get, Keith is, it's being recorded right now. I will be sending it off to my webmaster, and they will put it on YouTube for me and give me a copy of that, and it will get mailed out to you through Constant Contact, either tomorrow or the next day, hopefully tomorrow. So you'll get a whole copy of this. Of
Okay.
me, the audio and the PowerPoint.
And another thing, one other point, the handout that is available, is that available somewhere else as well? Because it appears that some people might have problem accessing that handout that goes with this. Would that be?
Yeah, I'm sorry if you can't find it. That's a good question, and if it's not there, just ask me, and you'll actually get it again. So I'll make sure I posted them, but you should have the handouts there. And if you don't, I will just tell me in an email and I can get them out to you.
And yes, and your email is Crest GCM down here at the bottom of that slide that you have up.
40 years.
And she can bill you for that email, so.
It's ancient. Oh, come on.
Oh, wait. We've got a few. Well, okay. Okay. Here we go. You gotta give them a minute to think about something here, Kathy. All right. And here's a great question here. I think it was Barbie that asked this question. Do you sell a website format as part of the package or separately or at all for that matter? Good question.
No, I don't have a website format. I mean, the manual is, what I described it to be. Next, actually, that's a good question. By the end of the summer, I will have a second class on Blackboard online for geriatric care management. It will be how to start a geriatric care management business, and it's all business related. And in that class, I will show you how to set up a website for geriatric care management, not just to do that, but also resources to go to find, someone who's a webmaster. I mean, I'm not, I'm a geriatric care manager to do that. But right now, the class is in the middle. It's medias res. I'm doing the class right now. So no, in this present state, I don't have that.
Okay, I jumped. I apologize. That apparently there's a couple of questions before that I'm just learning this question and answer. So here's somebody else has another question here. Do you have pricing recommendations for the various packages for Northern California?
I'm in Northern California too. So, and I don't have an agency anymore. I sold it 10 years ago, but Northern California and Southern California and the East Coast are pretty much the same. I would say $125 an hour, maybe to $135. New York's about the only place I know where you can go up to $150. Keith and I were talking in the beginning about, there was a great study that was done a year before they changed the ALCA label, and it had all sorts of demographics about geriatric care management, and it gave the breakdowns of what were the highest prices and lowest prices, and the highest prices are really in New York, and the coast is just like affordable housing. We have higher prices, and I would say 125 to 135 And I, personally, I do not vary prices among products. I charge, or I don't charge anymore, but I recommend just using the same hourly. It makes your bookkeeping a lot easier and a lot easier to sell. So
Okay.
that's it.
All right. And again, you could reach out to Kathy through her email if we're not directly answering your question, or if I'm not reading it properly, or any follow-up you may need. Is certification available after completing the course? I think certification is sort of separate, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not certified through ALCA. I mean, certification comes through a billion different ways. You can get, ALCA approved certification through NASW, through ANA, the American Nursing Association, I think through the recreational, what is that one that Florida does, Keith? Rehab.
The NACCM is the one that handles, they're the website that handles the all the four different. There's the social worker one, right? There's the CCM, and there's just CMC.
Yeah.
Those different, but certification has nothing to do with what you're offering here, and nothing to do really with anything.
No,
here.
I just give you CEUs, which are credits.
Yes, yeah, that's good.
That's important. You can, you want to have that. But certification of through ALCA, no. They have different criteria, but they will accept many different certifications, and I believe that's in the Handbook of Geriatric Care Management, or just email them. And there's, many, many different kinds. Like I said, nursing and social work and Case Management Society of America, which is primarily for nurses and is a real hard certification.
Are there CEUs for this webinar?
Yeah.
There's CEUs? Oh, there are. Okay.
Yeah, and I mentioned it in the very beginning. So if you complete the class, which to me means, because you can do it, in your own time, but you must complete the homework, which is really not homework. I don't grade it, but it will be an exercise. And the whole point of it is to turn it into me. That's all I've done with my students over the years, in Blackboard. And I will go through it and give you some suggestions of better ways, or just say you did a great job. But, if you did an elevator speech for a certain product, I'll go through it. And that's the way you communicate with me, and you communicate with me through the chat rooms. So if you finish all of that, all of the exercises, and that tells me that you've finished the class, then you get the certification. And you can take years to do it. I have no timeline right here, so.
Okay, let's see. We got. Let's see here. I'm looking for some more. Where's my questions? People are a lot of questions now, so we're really going to have to. I'm going to try to get through all of them here. All right. So here's a two-part question here, or the same person. And I apologize for not saying your names because I think I'm going to mess them up. So everybody's going to be neutral here. So the question is, I'm a nurse and have a hard time becoming or being a business. I could relate to that. I think a lot of us could relate to that. What is the price recommendation? Well, that's a whole, I think a price recommendation or something based on your qualifications and your experience and what you bring to the table. That's a whole nother, right, Kathy? That's the whole nother hours long conversation about that. Yeah. And do you charge 1 hour, one hourly fee for every service?
Different people charge in different ways. Some people charge in increments of hours every 10 minutes. It really depends upon your billing system, and your billing system usually comes with your geriatric care management client database, and there's 4 of those. So, depending upon what client database you use, but usually they're done in hours, because, telephone calls are always they're not going to be an hour. That's in increments. But, you're usually going to see a client for an hour. So most of the billing comes in hours, but there are, incremental billings like, texting, emails. You really have to bill for everything. I've gone through this with other webinars, and I'll do it again. You need to bill for 85% of your time to make it, and that's because of cash flow. And that is because, I'll just explain this again, You bill in the beginning of the month, but you really probably won't get paid until the end of the month or the middle of the second month, but you have to make payroll every 2 weeks. That's cash flow. So in order to make the cash flow and actually make more money, you need to bill 85%. So you need to bill for all of your time, which is why you have to do this incremental billing. And, so you need to buy a care management client database that has that. And again, there's 4 of them right now, I think coming into 5. And what was the second part?
I don't know. I think you've already answered it. That was the second part. The first part was about, I think, charging and how much they charge and experience and all that kind of stuff. But so another question here. Do you have a minimum amount of hours for care companion? And second part of that question, so minimum amount of hours for care companion and usual amount charged for the care companions. Now, when you start, I'm answering for you, Kathy, but when you start talking about fees and charging and things, that is a geographic, you're going to have to do some market research and find out what's out there, find out what your, get into the demographics of your area and find out what the mean income is, find out how many people are over 65, do all your background marketing research, find out what's going on, look at your competition, get out there, and then come up with a price that you feel is reasonable for what you have to offer. Remember, you're not necessarily only looking at what the competition's doing, but how is that in relation to what you're offering?
Yeah, you should be doing a competition survey. You should,
and that's a hard question to answer because it's regional. It's different for, Florida's different, Kathy. And so those types of questions, when you're talking about fees for service and how much should a care manager charge, that's a wide variety of from $50 an hour or nothing in some cases, if to what did you mention, $180 an hour or something, $200 an hour, Washington D.C. Go up to Washington D.C. and see what they charge.
I can answer it actually because I just I'm been working with a big company called Care Pilot, and I just set up one of these programs, and usually the concierge companion is a shorter amount of time, so 2 hours a day usually, because it's not home care. And this particular company that I set it up for, they bill more per hour than they would the CNA. So Keith is right, it's regional. So they pay their care providers $15 an hour, because in California, we have to pay good wages, and then they bill. It might be $40 some an hour, $45 an hour, but it's only for 2 hours. So you're billing less time and you're charging more money. And one of the reasons to charge more money is, you really need a different kind of care provider, and you need a different kind of training for that care provider, because they're really doing recreational therapy. I mean, they're interacting with the person, but you really need to train them in recreational therapy. And if you read the chapter on quality of life that Nina wrote, there's some great examples of, some of the tasks they'll be doing. But, if it's an artist, you have to have the wherewithal to be able to figure out what are artistic adaptations. How does an artist still create after they can't create after, they're older? So long story short is, it's less hours and more money. And again, Keith's right, that depends. I'm in Northern California. It's not me, but I just designed it for a program. And it's going to be really different in Kansas and even more money in New York.
Yeah.
And do a competition survey. And in the Handbook of Geriatric Care Management, you can find out how to do a competition survey.
Because I know a little bit about that, because in the courses I teach at UF, one of the assignments is to go out and interview care managers from across the country, and they come back and they report what some of the fee, and they do vary. They vary, quite a bit. But playing into that also is how much experience do you bring to the table, how much the community knows you. If you're relatively unknown, then I think, you might be a little bit at odds to charge your price. a competitive price because you're not well known. So you want to make yourself attractive, make yourself available to people who want to give you a shot, give you a try, but are concerned about losing a lot of money or concerned about losing face within the community because a care manager is not coming through for them. Let's get on to the questions here. There's a ton of questions here. Okay, so the another part of that question, the third part was incomparable to a home health aide. Home health aides and CNAs and people who work in the home that have that more medical component, that hands-on care, are going to be they're going to charge proportionally more for that because they have the certification attached to them, whereas a companion does not. Now, again, this could be regional. I would suggest looking at what your state statutes say about who can do hands-on care and who cannot.
Right. It's actually the reverse. CNAs, I mean, I'm just taking California. CNAs generally make in California about $15 an hour. And again, you're going to pay the concierge companion a little bit more because it's really just as important. Quality of life is just as important, but they have to have a different training that you're going to have to invest in. It's not available at all. I can't tell you that, but I've designed the training too. But, I mean, basically, how to, what activities to, that they can use as resources if, say, they're going to do reminiscence with somebody who has Alzheimer's as opposed to reminiscence with somebody who's 60. So you have to have a different portion of training, and you do pay them a little bit more because you're going to charge more.
Okay, a few more questions here. Let's see here. Do assisted living look for GCMs that have more of a medical background, just starting out and have no medical background but a lot of experience?
No, assisted living, we deliver all of the personal care, and the medical is all there. So they're really looking for, I just went over this, essentially where who can end their pain and people moving out. And that's really with recreational activities because they have an activities director, but there's only one for the whole facility. So that might be a really beginning part for you. It might be a really good service for somebody who's just starting out and doesn't have a lot of experience in personal care.
And start with the like the shopping trips or maybe the outings or whatever it is that may be, and then get to know your client a little bit better. Keep your eyes and ears open, and you're picking up on those medical aspects of your client. You're hearing things. Maybe you're going to one of their meetings with them or something. So you're getting to know them a little. You're talking to family.
Right. The other thing that you can get is Nina Herndon. Again, she was my TA at San Francisco State. I am sort of her mentor, and she's fabulous and has a great agency. And if you go on her website, she's right outside of San Francisco. It's Sage Elder Care, and they have a booklet that's on Amazon right now that gives you activities. It's a great booklet, and they have a hummingbird program they use it in, but you can buy that. It's really inexpensive, $15, and you can find out some great ideas to do with assisted living. So that's another resource for you if you're starting out.
Yeah, there you go. Great idea. Okay, here's a question here. It says, I know you're selling the manual, but are you able to do parts of the competition survey, such as a DMV area? For example, I know that there is a need for care managers, but I am not sure of the fees to charge in that area. Can it be done? And if so, how much do you charge? So I guess a portion of your class, Kathy, I think, did that make sense?
I've done competition surveys, for many, many years. It would have to be one by one. Right now, I'm not really available to do one until I come back from Norway, where I had to have that black vest.
That's right. Yeah.
You've got to have it. However, you could talk to me about it. I can teach you how to do it, actually. And it is in the Handbook of Geriatric Care Management, but I could advise you how to do it for sure. And actually, it's in the business class that's going to come out next year. Well, actually, probably in the fall. It'll all be done. But that's one of the modules, how to do a competition survey. So, you can be in touch with me and I can talk to you about it. I've done a lot of things. I've taught a lot of things just like Keith. But yes, you can be in touch with me about
That's right.
it.
You did teach. You used to teach at UF, I think you mentioned that at the beginning. Yes.
I was your cohort.
Yes, you were, and still
Anymore?
are. Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
There are. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm reading through it again because it was a fairly long question. I want to make sure that we did answer everything. How much do you charge? Okay. Hey, I tell you what, Patrice, if you find a black puffy sleeved vest for Kathy to go to wherever's Denmark, then I'm sure
By the
she'll
first.
find the first. That's right. There's a timeline too on this. So our goal is to find one. So there we go. We have a whole care plan already mapped out for you. All right, let's get serious here and so people have things to do. It's a deal. Okay. For those of us that have purchased earlier copies of the manual, how do we obtain updates and or new sections? And what is the cost of that?
Absolutely, that's a fabulous thing. I should have brought it up.
That is a good
Yeah, you can, if you already have the manual, which, a lot, it's been out for years, so a lot of people might have it. Yeah, I do have a really minimal price to give you it's essentially, I think it's in its 4th edition. And, just be in touch with me and I can send you the new one for, a minimal price. So yeah, if you already have it, far out, send it, just send me an email.
No.
But please do it by the 30th because you know my problem.
And thank you for being such a loyal, I don't want to say customer, patron, right? Kathy, she does the manual now and she wants to update.
Yeah, I hope you're on the Facebook page. I mean, I think I have everybody
Thank you.
that ever had it on the closed Facebook page.
All right, there's a second part to that question here too. ALFs here in New Jersey are offering aids on a separate payment scale to provide more one-to-one with the resident. The resident is billed separately for this level of service. Okay, so I guess that's more of a statement. So that's what's going on in New Jersey. Is there? Okay, all right. So this resident is billed separately for their. Okay, yeah. You could have in an ALF, you could have a companion come in separately, right, Kathy? There's no.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, a GCM goes in. I do it. I serve as a companion.
And you can use this also in nursing homes. This is applicable to nursing homes as well, this service.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And and we have done it when I did my agency. We've done it, and in Jerry psych units. We did it in nursing homes, because really think about it. Wouldn't it be wonderful if the CNAs didn't sit there and look at their phones and actually talk to the people? And that's just not happening. So this is why this service is in there. But older people need to be engaged. That's what really makes them better, really, in a lot of ways. Anyway, what are the other ones?
Okay, a couple other points really quick here. That taking clients in your vehicle, you need to check it out with your insurance company and make sure there's no liability issues.
$1 million of liability.
Yeah, and then something about providing concierge level services. There's no difference regarding the hourly rates, I guess, for that.
Yeah, there is, and I answered that question. You should be paying the companion more and billing more.
Do you have a pamphlet or brochure format? Pamphlet or brochure format that you use? I believe the question is directed to you. What do you use, I guess, Kathy?
I don't have an agency anymore, but what I'm suggesting is that you have a brochure. Really, your website is your brochure too. But to hand someone who's a third party, you should have a brochure and a sell sheet for whatever product works with that particular third party. So for assisted living, concierge companion. If you're dealing with death and dying, hospice, which are great clients, because people get to hospice the last month on a regular basis. You can get them there much easier. Hospice loves care management, and you have a different sell sheet. You have a different sell sheet for home from the hospital. You have a different sell sheet for quality of life. Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
sell sheet.
Yeah, say that fast 3 times. That's a tough sell sheet. Ooh, I could run in. I can get problems with that. Okay, finally, last thing. How do you handle prospects, clients, or potential clients that try to talk you down in price, or clients that are going on, clients that you've
Well,
had for.
I am the queen of 85%, and anybody that knows me out there who's heard me
That
talk,
is absolutely true. You're right.
people who
You are right.
used to spend a year with me, they would just laugh because I'm telling them all the time because I don't want you to lose money. And if you start, nickel and diming here, you are going to go under. And do you want to do that? Because the cash flow. You need, and also, don't you want braces for yourself if you need them? Braces for your kids? Do you want to go to Norway? I mean, it's not because I have a lot of money. My husband's family discovered him here. But, long story short is you need to bill for everything you do. That's why you're doing 10-minute increments. Everything you do, including driving. And I'm going to do another webinar on that.
There you go. All right. There are no other questions.
Thank you so much. I hope Keith and I haven't been too crazy here, but we mean to entertain, but we're also just having fun. So please be in touch. Really, the 30th is, I turn into a pumpkin and go to Norway with my black vest. So please be in touch before that.
And look for the update on the website. Look for the upload on the website in a couple of days here for this.
Hopefully we're going to get it to you by tomorrow. I should have it by now, and then I'll get it to my webmaster. Okay. So thank you so much for being here. And the next one will be in August, and that is to be announced. And the new Blackboard class on Just Business will be out in September. And with that, everybody have a wonderful evening, and I will too.
Thank you, Kathy.
You too,
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.